So today I'm thinking about the three theories of atonement. For those of you that don't know, my name is Adam Allen. I'm a former prison guard turned children's hospital chaplain. I have a master's of divinity and 5 units of clinical pastoral education. Atonement, for those that don't know, the belief is that humanity has sinned in some way and needs to be forgiven by God, and that forgiveness process is called atonement. It's mainly the idea of what is happening on the cross, why Jesus died on the cross. The earliest interpretation of atonement is called Christus Victor. It is what the early church believed, and the main theory of atonement for the first 1,000 years or so. The main voices that come to my mind for Christus Victor are Origen and Augustine. The other name for this atonement theory is ransom theory. The idea is that humanity, due to sin, is under the jurisdiction or captivity of Satan. And so all souls are intended for hell because of sin. And Jesus pays himself as a ransom so that all humanity can be saved from the grips of Satan. The most direct biblical evidence for this is when Jesus says in Matthew and Mark that he came to give his life as a ransom for many. Fast forward about 1,000 years and we come to Saint Anselm, and Anselm develops a theory called satisfaction theory. This is mainly based on the idea of serfs and lords and the idea that this hierarchy, the lowest person has sinned against the higher person, and so God becomes man, and God offers the sacrifice as atonement because God is both the serf in this case and the Lord, and that sacrifice absolves us of our sins through the cross. Now, satisfaction theory eventually evolves into what is now called penal substitution theory. This becomes the main belief system of evangelicals now. In the 15th century, the Reformists begin to reframe their understanding of atonement in the idea of a court of law. So the court of law is now the analogy. I think most people that have been to any type of evangelical or para-evangelical church probably remember a analogy in which there's a person that's being tried for sin, and then Jesus comes in and says, well, I'm sinless and I'll take his place. And in that way, we are forgiven of our sins because Jesus takes our place. Now, 200 or 300 years go by, and the focus now becomes on God's wrath. And so Jesus taking our place satisfies God's wrath when he is murdered on the cross. And that also ties into older texts that refer to animal sacrifices. And in Hebrews, some verses about blood being the only way to atone.